tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namasami. So welcome everyone to another Wednesday evening Clear Mountain conversation, Clear Mountain Dhamma reflection. This evening, as usual, we'll have a period of lightly guided meditation, or lightly giving some investigative meditation, and then have a period of question and answers. And we can just jump right in. And our topic for this evening, which is the second part of our topic for the month, the topic of the month being the three characteristics, and the second being dukkhatta, or the characteristic of unsatisfactoriness. So we'll explore that in a number of ways, both in a meditative context and in a doctrinal context. But first, just to get into our bodies and know this dukkha from the inside. So everyone can just come to a comfortable and collected posture. Be seated in a chair or seated on the floor. And you want your posture to be a manifestation, or almost a metaphor of the internal qualities. So you want an uprightness and awakeness, symbolized by the spine, the way we stack the vertebrae one on top of the other, with the skull just lightly lifted from the top, awake and aware, but then all the musculature, all of our fleshy parts, all of basically everything other than this upright spine, everything else can just relax. So awake, but settling. And to start with, you can bring your attention to the face and the whole head. And see if you can get an interoceptive sense of the head. So basically, you're feeling from the inside. This is not a visual meditation or visualization. Basically just trying to feel the head and face from the inside. There's no right answer. Whatever you're feeling, whether it's either deep inside of the head, or on the surface of the skin of the face or the scalp. See if you can just notice this. See if you can notice the whole experience of the head and face, not pushing anything away. Might feel some vibrations on the skin, or deeper down, you might be able to feel the blood coursing, especially through the neck. But even at the sides of the eyes, you might feel a twitching. And not really paying attention to any one sensation in particular, but knowing the whole head, the whole face, all at once. And now as an exercise, just see if there's a location in the head or on the face which you don't like, which feels like a painful or a stressful or a afflicted part of the head or face. It could be a headache, whether in the front of the head or the back or the sides. It could be some itch on the face, or it could be tension around the brow, the inner brow between the eyes. Could be some pain in the teeth. And pay attention to this not liking of it. There's a feeling, and then on top of the feeling is an aversive push. And try to understand this pushing away. This is the dukkha of the Four Noble Truths. This is the unsatisfactoriness which causes us to suffer. This not liking of unpleasant feeling. It's tense, it's stressful. And now see if you can let go of the pushing away, let go of the aversion, and just know dukkha vedana, just know the second type of dukkha, which is just unpleasant feeling without pushing away, without disliking and wanting to destroy or completely abolish whatever feeling it is. So just see if you can drop that aversive push and just see, this is just dukkha vedana. This is just an unpleasant feeling. I don't have to run away, because that running away is the dukkha of the Four Noble Truths, the dukkha which is avoidable. Yeah, there might be tension between the eyes, but it's just that. This is just musculature doing what it's been habituated and what we've been training it to do. Headaches from whatever the biological cause, any emotional stress we've added to it. It's just this. It's just this much. Just an unpleasant feeling. Tooth pain, this is just what a body experiences. There's unpleasant feeling from time to time and spot to spot. And now, see if you can make the mind even bigger. So knowing the head and the face from the inside, interoception, but also see if you can actually feel, with eyes closed, feel outside of the face and head. So we're not making any claims about parapsychology or any kind of woo-woo or wonky science here. It's just the felt sense, just talking about what it feels like. Can you feel where the skin stops and the world begins? Or is it just a diffuse, porous cloud. And if you can make your mind bigger like this, so knowing external to the head and knowing internal, see if you can know the third type of dukkha. This is the dukkha of the three characteristics, which is just the friction, the tension, the constant churning, the most molecular churn, which is just inherent in everything in nature, just this molecular grind. It's not personal. Everything, internal, external, is just constantly in a flux. There's a chaos to this world, internal and external. And see if you can feel that, and you might be able to intuit it just through this felt sense of tingliness, felt sense of, it almost feels like constant motion, and you can't really tell where is internal and what's an external feeling. When the mind is big like this, it almost feels like just a field of awareness, and there's a rippling or a unsteadiness to this knowing, and everything that is known is just constantly vibrating. It's like if you've ever shined a laser pointer through a magnifying glass, shot it on a wall, you look at the magnified laser, and you just can see this constant movement of light or something. The beam is just constantly kind of flickering, this dance of tension and stress, or dance of instability. And this is the dukkha of the three characteristics, is just this insubstantial tension of the whole world, internal and external, and you can feel it. And now let's take this exercise and go from just knowing the head, and we'll see if we can know the whole body now, just knowing the whole body from the top of the head to the soles of the feet. And to begin with, we'll start with the first exercise of knowing dukkha of the Four Noble Truths, the dukkha which is optional. So just feeling something in the body, could be in the stomach, could be a feeling of sharpness in the knees. And more than that, it's not just a painful sensation, it's got something added onto it. It's got this dislike. I hate this knee pain. I always feel it. Why is my stomach always cramping? Why do I always have this itch on my arm? This aversiveness, this is the dukkha of the Four Noble Truths, and it is optional. And we can experience that optionality when we shift and let go of the aversiveness, and now still seeing if you can know the whole body, and knowing that specific painful and what was an aversive reaction to that pain in the body as one spot within this broader field internally. But let go of the pushing away. And let the mind be separate, and you can just watch dukkha vedana, the second type of dukkha, which is just unpleasant feeling. This rumbling in my stomach, I don't need to add a story to it. It's just unpleasant. It's nothing about me, my worth as a human. This pain in my knee, it's just unpleasant. And when you let go of the story, let go of the clinging, let go of the attachment, which is bound up with the dukkha of the Four Noble Truths, the dukkha that's optional, when you let that go, and there's this separation and space, oh yeah, this is just an itch. This is just a feeling of heat. And that's all it is. I don't need to compound it. So just dukkha vedana, unpleasant feeling. And now just letting the mind get bigger. So let the mind expand to know not just feelings internally, but again, first exploring the skin. Where does your skin stop? In the felt sense, your felt sense. Where does the skin stop and the world begin, the air begin? When you have your eyes closed, where is that line? You draw a picture of a human body, and the first thing you do is draw the outline. And it seems so clear. This is inside and that's outside. But you zoom in on that line in the picture, and it's just markings of lead, and it's not a solid line. It's actually coarse according to the paper. And similarly, when we examine the feeling of the skin internally, you see that it's like the zoomed in line. It's just it's porous. It's holy, as in with many holes. There's no clear demarcation in the mind when you're feeling it of what's internal and what's external. And you can do that with the whole body, knowing what's behind your back, knowing what's in front of your face, your body, on the sides of your body, below what you're sitting on, above your head. Knowing in all directions, consciousness, unbounded. And here, see if you can feel or get a sense of this third type of dukkha, the dukkha of the three characteristics. The dukkha which is just anatomical churn, atomic churn. So basically the constant movement and flux and flow of the atoms in the universe. Everything is in constant motion, and there's no settling. This is the stress or the tension or the instability of dukkha as it manifests in the three characteristics. And you can feel that. It's almost as if you're feeling a book on quantum physics. You read about the quantum field, which whole universe is this field of moving atoms, electrons, and every seemingly solid thing is actually just a part of this larger field, this larger atomic field. So you can feel the body, and it just feels like a pattern of energy, a pattern of movement within a larger pattern of movement. Just feels like more ripply waves in a whole wave pool, or it feels like some kind of distortion of light in a lit room. And this instability is dukkha, this dukkhata. It's inherent in everything, animate, inanimate, human, non-human. This is the broadest type of dukkha, and it applies to everything. And now just stay here. Just this broadest view, this broadest perspective, this most open knowing. So a rather long guided meditation, guided investigation. But I hope it was helpful. I hope that helped people get more of a felt sense of these three different types of dukkha, which are mentioned in the third chapter of Buddhadhamma, which Clear Mountain is kind of reading as our this month's chapter of Buddhadhamma by P.A. Payutto. So we can open things up to questions, and it can be about any of these types of dukkha. This chapter, hopefully it wasn't depressing for anybody, because it's basically just talking about suffering and all the different ways that the Pali Canon talks about suffering, and then the commentaries and the sub-commentaries is just more and more elaboration of different types of suffering. But I feel like this threefold model is really useful and something you can work with. So just to recap, so you've got the dukkha of the Four Noble Truths, which is the optional dukkha. That's the dukkha which is caused by craving, the second noble truth, which has an end, which is a third noble truth, and which can be put to an end by practicing the fourth noble truth, which is basically letting go of attachment to it. Then you've got dukkha vedana, or unpleasant feeling, which is just, it is what it is. And if we don't attach to it, then we don't have to suffer. And then the dukkha of the three characteristics is a bit, takes a bit more to get your mind around, but the fact that everything, animate, inanimate, material, immaterial, is dukkha in the sense that it is, there's friction, there's this perpetual pressure, is what P.A. Payutto translates as this type of dukkha, this molecular grind or tension or instability. Basically, the fact that everything is just burning with movement and instability. So let's open it up to some questions. Hello, Venerable. I had a minor surgery today and was icing the site when we began the meditation. Most of the time, I could not grasp the pain. I'd be curious if you could. Oh, you do say more. I got a few brief moments of not me, not mine, me bringing to mind the concept of anicca, but then got yanked right back to it. Any tips or helps? Yes. So, basically, a very common experience of not being able to let go. So I think Ajahn Chah said 90% of the path is knowing what you should be able to do, but not being able to do it. And just there's 10% of knowing what you should do and being able to do it, something to that effect. But oftentimes conditions just come together where we can't let go to the extent that we want to. The grasping at pain, or the holding on to the pain, goes really deep, multi-lifetimes. And Yeah, especially when you've just had a surgery or have some very acute and honestly quite painful dukkha vedana, the second type of dukkha, then the optional, theoretically, well, it is optional. The dukkha of the Four Noble Truths, although it is optional, it doesn't seem like we're always able to do it. So I think what can be useful here is just acknowledging that. So it's almost like metta. So two types of metta or higher level letting go. So say we can give like a simile of, say the fist is the pain, wherever it is in the site of the surgery. That's the actual pain, the dukkha vedana. And in of itself is not a problem. But then you've got this second type of dukkha, which is the dukkha of the Four Noble Truths, the theoretically optional dukkha, and it grasps on to this dukkha vedana, the unpleasant feeling. And we try to let go, but we just have so much attachment to our body. And, sometimes we just can't. We know we should let go, or at least relax, but, it can be difficult. So another higher level of letting go is, even if this, you know, there is one level of holding on to and not being able to let go of the dukkha vedana, the pain itself. There can be a higher level, so you still have the pain and you still have the holding on to it, but it's going to be a higher level of actually like knowing that you're holding on to the pain. And when you know that you're holding on to the pain, that in itself, that moment of mindfulness or moments of mindfulness are actually not a moment of pain. Knowing that you're holding on is one level or one degree of letting go. And sometimes that's the best we can do. So see if you can experiment with that. Like, see if you can let up the grip on that second grasping. So rather than hate yourself for not being able to let go, what am I doing? I'm a Buddhist practitioner. I'm a monk. I've been a monk for 13 years now, and I should be able to let go of this. Why am I so just an itch? Why can't I just let the itch go? And why do I have to actually scratch it? But rather than just all of that self-recrimination, which is a higher level add-on, just say, okay, I'm itching and I've got attachment to the body, but I don't have to add another layer of aversion to that. So I hope that helps, Ben, and I'll be interested if you can experiment with that and see how it goes. Thank you, Ajahn. The meditation was helpful, especially since I live with chronic pain and illness. Well, that's good to hear, Rick. Thank you for sharing. And yeah, being able to kind of label your pain, for people who like labeling, which I do, and there is a place for labeling in the Pali Canon. There's actually like the Pali equivalent of quote marks. Basically, you add ti or iti to a noun or a sentence, and that makes it in quotes. So that's kind of like the Buddha's label maker. So you can label something dukkha vedana, or you can label something, okay, this is dukkha vedana, this is painful feeling. But then this mental grasp, okay, that's dukkha arya satya, that's the dukkha of the Four Noble Truths. And then just throughout all of that is the dukkha of the three characteristics. And when you let go of that, the dukkha of the Four Noble Truths, then that is the ending, this fading and cessation, renunciation, relinquishment, release, and letting go of craving and hence pain. So I got a few brief moments of not me, not mine. Oh, we read that already. I listened to a talk about analytical meditation. His description sounded like exploring the dukkha of the three characteristics, contemplating a seeming solid object as a statue Is this the same? I'm not sure. It says statute here. Does that mean uh, contemplating a seeming solid object as a statue, as in like a Buddha statue? Um, but yeah, analytical meditation. So this is a term which you're more likely to find in Tibetan monasteries. So there's a whole tradition of um, analytic meditation, what's called the Lam Rim, which is a very systematic analytical meditation. First, you contemplate this, you contemplate all of uh, the suffering in samsara, and then you contemplate how you want to find a way out, etc. And it's very stepwise, and it's a very thought-based meditation. Um, so I think that term, analytical meditation, is used more often in um, Tibetan context, but there's certainly more than enough precedence for the same activity of mind in the Theravada or the Pali Canon. And yeah, exploring the dukkha of the three characteristics could be an analytical meditation, in that you're analyzing this thing on a on a philosophical level. The meditation that we were doing at the beginning of this session was hopefully more than just philosophy, more than just talk, but actually getting you to be able to actually have a feel for the anicca, or I'm sorry, the dukkha, the unsatisfactoriness, the instability, the tension, the stress, the strain of dukkha in the three characteristics. But yeah, there's many ways to creatively practice, and yeah, the ability to just sit down and shut your mind off and not think is it's not always the right thing to do. It's not always what you want. It's not um, being able to enter into the jhanas, which is basically what that is, the second jhana, where you transcend basically meditative absorption, where you transcend the thinking mind. It's a very deep state of mind, of meditative depth. There are many situations in daily life where you want to be able to think intelligently. So thinking and analyzing the world in terms of these three characteristics, in terms of anicca, impermanence, dukkha, instability, or stress, strain, tension, all of these almost engineering terms: strain, stress, tension, what we were calling the molecular churn or the molecular grind of things, and then anatta, or not self. And yeah, I mean, contemplating a statue, as I'm understanding this, could be a great way to think about it. Yeah, just as this statue, or even better, like say a sandstone statue. I've seen some really beautiful ones, but I mean, those will wear away so quickly over time. You can rub them and the sand comes off, and it's harder with this, but if you polish it enough, or if you wipe enough, you are going to start seeing the actual change to the surface of the bronze in this case. And similarly with the skin, you rub it enough and you'll start wearing away the skin. So yeah, figuring out creative ways to contemplate the body. The Buddha had the 32 parts, contemplating hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, bones, bone marrow, etc. You could just search 32 parts Buddhism and find that list. But basically, it's just an analytical meditation on the body, rather than taking, my hair, or my lack of hair, my eyebrows, my skin, my eyes, my whatever. Take all that out. It's just body parts. So the Buddha gave the simile, just as you might have a two-sided bag, like a double mouth bag, a hole at the top and a hole at the bottom. Close up the bottom and fill it with beans, different types of beans, mung beans, chickpeas, whatever, and different types of rice, hill rice, paddy rice, sticky rice, uncooked. Mix them up. And similarly, someone with insight can look into this body and just say, just as you would dispassionately look through a bag of beings, so too, someone with a cool mind can look through this body, can analyze this body and say, in this body, there are hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin. It's just that, no problem. How can I develop dispassion towards sensuality? How can I see more clearly the dukkha within pleasure? Uh, this is a good question. So, uh, another way that dukkha is broken down in the Pali Canon and in Buddhadhamma, chapter 3 that we're going over, is three types of dukkha: of dukkha, which is just painful feeling. So that's easy. Then you've got viparinama dukkha. That's the pain of change. So yeah, sukha and pleasure and all the great tastes and the beautiful things of the world and the lovely sounds, and they're all great as long as they last. But when they stop, then yeah, this is the third type of dukkha in this list. It's just called sankhara dukkha, which is basically the dukkha of conditioned things, which is equal to the dukkha of the three characteristics. But this viparinama dukkha, the dukkha of change, is something you can contemplate. It's mentioned in the um, Turning of the Wheel of Dhamma, the Dhammacakka Sutta, where you talk about association with the disliked is dukkha, separation from the liked is dukkha. So association with the disliked, separation from the liked, and not to get what one wants are three forms of this viparinama dukkha, or the dukkha of change. So yeah, that's something you can contemplate. Like, is this, let's see, is this tofu barbecue? Is this like, vegetarian barbecue? Is this really going to be the solution to my, is this ultimately satisfying? So that's a very good translation of dukkha, is unsatisfying. So the term suffering, which is often translated for dukkha, the term dukkha encompasses not just, it's a huge range, it's the whole range of affective, hedonic feeling. So it includes the most severe deprivation, the most severe pains that a being can experience, basically hell, hell on earth. And even, it includes even sukha, or even pleasant feelings, because those pleasant feelings will change. They're unstable, and so in that sense, they are dukkha. Yeah, so contemplating the dukkha of this vegetarian barbecue, yeah, it's just ultimately unsatisfying. And this is fascinating. So some people don't like to label dukkha. They say, oh, vegetarian barbecue is great. Or yeah, looking at this beautiful person, it's great. What's the drawback? And what the Buddha does by labeling even pleasant things as a form of dukkha is that he gives you a higher goal. Like, some people might say, okay, this much is enough, this much is okay. I get my sensual pleasures. But the Buddha is saying, actually, there's something which transcends even pleasures, like, jhana. So basically, when one's able to tap into these very, very solid, deep states of mind, then you see, in comparison, the pleasure of the smoothie, or the pleasure of the icy, or whatever it is, it pales in comparison. It's dukkha when compared to the bliss of just being able to sit in jhana. And similarly, even the bliss of jhana is incomparable to the bliss of nibbana. So nibbana is the highest happiness. And when you have these higher expectations, then that's when it makes sense to start labeling the pleasure of an apple strudel as dukkha. This actually, it is dukkha. It's not that great. It's not that great. So basically, expand your range of possibility of pleasure and happiness. Sukha, it's the same word. Okay, and this, all right. So when my chronic pain is intense, it feels like the pain is radiating 6 degrees or 8 degrees beyond the body. Is this actually happening, or is it just a sensation? Oh, I'm sorry, 6 inches. 6 inches or 8 inches beyond the body. Is this actually happening, or is it just sensation? Um, well, let's start off by saying it's definitely sensation. It's definitely, a real feeling. So when we were, contemplating this, the blurry line of the skin when you have your eyes closed and are looking at, what is inside, what is outside, um, that uh, it feels, it feels like it's, like there's no line. So um, as to whether or not the pain actually does radiate, um, I'm pretty positive that a Western doctor would say, no, it's just encapsulated within the body. You do have talk, from the earliest suttas, this idea of an aura, which the Buddha didn't talk about a lot, but which does sometimes feature in early Buddhist texts. And could that aura possibly be some kind of subtle perceiving or subtle feeling? Um, uh, yeah, perhaps it could. Yeah, how I experience this is even without an intense pain, you can almost feel the heat radiating off the body. Um, and yeah, in my mind, it's not actually so important whether or not that's like real on some kind of material level. Um, but that consciousness knows it that way. So an interesting test that you can do is, as you're, okay, bring your attention to the whole body, and then know the pain, the intense pain, um, wherever it is, and then move a body part near that. Say if the pain is in your hand, then wiggle your finger, and with your eyes closed, okay, I can definitely feel this. This is not a made up sensation. Like, I can feel the wiggling. I feel the inside of my body. But at the same time, when you make the mind, let consciousness be more expansive, you know that wiggling finger within a larger field. So the fact that I can feel the wiggling finger, the wiggling toe so clearly, I'm not making it up. There's a correlation between what my body is physically doing and how consciousness is perceiving it. Given that that is accurate, or there's a degree of accuracy there, perhaps my perception of the larger field, like around the finger, uh, is also valid, on some level. So yeah, and this is something you can experiment with, especially with pain, when you're able to uh, let the mind grow, or get a sense of boundless consciousness. And this, I think, is an important point. So you read about, you encounter these terms, um, say akasanjayatana, the sphere of infinite space, the sphere of infinite consciousness, mentioned in Buddhist texts in the context of, it seems like a higher jhana, so a very, very deep meditation, and that's true. But there are also places in the canon, and Bhante and Alio in particular, will suggest that you can experience an infinite-ish consciousness, so a consciousness which is not just encapsulated in the body, um, even outside of jhana. So experimenting with that is, um, yeah, a useful reflection. So yeah, and when we can make the mind bigger like this, it allows us to let go more easily. And all of this fixation on pain is basically not because we want pain, but because we want a higher pleasure. We want to transcend it, transcending it through knowing it. So yeah, we're aiming at sukha, everybody, and we can experience sukha in the dukkha if if we just let go. So yeah, if allowing the mind to get bigger lets you just realize, okay, it's not this tiny focus. It's like you get this tunnel vision around the pain, but just expanding that can be quite helpful for letting go of our attachment to it. So we'll call that an evening here on our Clear Mountain Wednesday evening, and we'll go over to Zoom, so people can go to clearmountainmonastery.org and go to the calendar and then just click on tonight's Wednesday evening Zoom session, and that's a time for informal dialogue and conversation. So I wish everybody well. Tanisbo, as usual, will be at St. Mark's this upcoming Saturday, and then I'll be back again next Wednesday to talk about anicca, the final of the three characteristics. So take care, everybody, and hope we can all transcend dukkha and know the highest sukha.